What's going on, guys? The Comics Kid 2099 here. If you saw my video last week where I talked a little bit about Thor: The Dark World, you know that recently I have been watching all of the Marvel Studios movies in order. And I fairly recently watched Age of Ultron for the second time, in fact, and I really enjoyed the movie. It has some problems. It's a very fast-paced movie. It's crammed with a lot of characters and a lot of plot stuff, but I love the movie a lot. And one of the characters that is introduced in this movie is the Vision. And he is created through kind of a complicated origin story, but long story short, Tony Stark, he creates Ultron as a means of protecting the planet. Ultron goes insane and says, instead of protecting the planet, I'm going to destroy the human race. And then Ultron is trying to create this super robot body, and then this super robot body is kidnapped by the Avengers, and then they put the Mind Stone, one of the Infinity Stones that was actually the power source for Loki's scepter in the first Avengers movie. They put that on the super robot body's head, and then they are going to try and put the Jarvis program that has been in all of the Avenger movies and Iron Man movies up to date. They're going to put the Jarvis program into the super robot body. They start to do that, and then Captain America and his friends come in and they're like, no, don't do this. You've already created Ultron. You don't need to do this again. And then Thor comes in out of nowhere and he powers up the body, and then this creates the Vision, who is a robot superhero from the comics. And then he comes in and he says, okay, I'm a good guy, you guys can trust me. And then he helps them fight Ultron. And he was, out of all three of the new characters introduced in the movie, he was my favorite one. He got the least screen time out of every character in the movie, but I still really liked him. And I think part of that is just because of, well, I won't spoil it, but there's a scene, it's shortly after he's created, where all the Avengers are like, okay, we can trust this guy. I think that really made me fall in love with the Vision. A lot of people now are really afraid that the Vision is going to get killed off because the post-credits, mid-credits, sting, whatever you want to call it, the scene for this movie is Thanos grabbing the empty Infinity Gauntlet with no gems in it, and he says, fine, I'll just do it myself. So after what feels like 400 movies of Thanos just sitting around doing nothing, now he says, okay, I'm going to go and collect all of the Infinity Stones, and then I'm going to have a gauntlet that's going to let me rule the universe. A lot of people are worried that this means that the Vision is going to die because he was brought to life by the Mind Stone. I don't think that the Vision is going to die. I have an alternate theory that I think that they might go with in these movies, and I wanted to go ahead and put this out there now before we see some paparazzi taking pictures of Paul Bettany on the set for the next Avengers movie that kind of makes my theory either moot or proves my theory either way. So I have an alternative theory that says that the Vision is not going to die when Thanos gets the Mind Stone. Let's just assume that Thanos is going to get the Mind Stone. I don't think that the Mind Stone is what makes the Vision alive. I think that the Mind Stone is what makes him have more of a human personality, because effectively he is a robot, but he has a personality that is unlike Jarvis. At one point in Age of Ultron, they even go so far as to say he's not Ultron, but he's not Jarvis either. He's something new. And then at one point, Tony Stark is talking about how much Ultron hates him, and Vision is just walking by and says, yep, you're right, Ultron really hates you. And it's like, okay, that's not something that Jarvis would have said. This is definitely a new entity. He has more of a human personality than Jarvis did. I think that the Mind Stone is what gives him that human personality. So I think if Thanos takes the Mind Stone, the Vision is still going to be alive, but he's going to revert to more of a robotic personality, kind of like Jarvis, maybe even more emotionless and cold. And it kind of reminds me of a storyline from the West Coast Avengers series around the time when John Byrne was on the title. There was one point, which was right before the West Coast Avengers series started, where the Vision tries to take over the world, and basically he's doing it for the betterment of the planet. And then you get to a certain point in the West Coast Avengers series where all of the governments of the world basically decide that they cannot trust the Vision, so they kidnap him, and they take him apart, and somehow they take away his human side. So when they put him back together, instead of being red and green and having his human personality that he had for so long, now he's completely white, and he acts more like a robot. And then when the Scarlet Witch sees him, and they were a couple, she's like kissing him, and it's like, oh, I'm so glad you're okay, and he's just like, hey, Wanda, and like, he doesn't have any emotions anymore. He has all of his memories, but he doesn't have his human personality. I think that maybe this is how we're going to get that storyline in the movies. Now, I could be wildly off base. These movies, they like to kill a character, especially in the Avengers movies. So far, we've had 2 Avengers movies, and apparently Kevin Feige, he demanded that Joss Whedon kill someone in the first Avengers movie, so spoilers, that's why Joss Whedon killed off Coulson. And then in the second movie, spoilers again, we get Quicksilver killed. And I'm just assuming that Joss Whedon was forced once again to kill one of the characters, so he kills a minor character who was not one of the main A-listers. So it's entirely possible whenever we get to the Infinity War movie that they are going to kill the Vision because he has the Mind Stone, so it would make sense that once Thanos takes it that maybe he just loses his life. But I'm thinking because the Mind Stone was just one ingredient in the creation of the Vision, you also had the Jarvis program and Thor's lightning that also went into creating him. It's possible that the Mind Stone is not entirely what makes him alive, and that if Thanos takes it, maybe he will still be alive, but he will be more of a different character. And that could be really fun for Paul Bettany, because up until now, up until Age of Ultron, he was just doing voice work. He did voice work in the first Avengers movie and the 3 Iron Man movies. And I heard him say that for the first Iron Man movie, he did like an hour of recording and then got paid an obscene amount of money. So voice work, it is a challenge. I'm not going to say that it's not hard, but I have heard plenty of voice actors say that it's much easier than doing physical acting. So coming in and doing the Vision, not Jarvis, doing the Vision, that's much more of a challenge, and it's going to be a different kind of job for Paul Bettany than what he was doing with Jarvis. So maybe by the time they get to doing the Infinity War movie, maybe it will be, again, kind of a transformation for that character, and it will be something new, fun, and interesting for Paul Bettany to do. It's possible that by the time they get to the Infinity War, he'll be kind of bored with playing the Vision. I'm not saying that will happen, but sometimes you have actors who they don't want to keep playing the same character over and over because they get bored with it. So maybe this would be a chance for Paul Bettany to kind of flex his acting chops a little bit while still playing in this sandbox. So that is my very long, lengthy, stretched out theory about what's going to happen to the Avengers franchise in the future, specifically the Vision. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Personally, I think this is going to happen. I think it would be really awesome if that does happen. I can just imagine Thanos like ripping the Mind Stone off of the Vision and then slowly all of the color just like draining out of him. I think that would be really cool. I don't want to get my hopes up, but at the same time, I've already kind of got my hopes up. So what do you guys think? Let me know. Comments below. Also, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys later in the week with a different kind of video. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of the day. Catch you later.